Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be in the kitchen, and I love being able to do cooking videos only because I like being in the kitchen. I typically create quite the vibe. I love music, so I typically have that playing in the background. But today we are going to be making a crock pot meal that is one of my favorites. It's super easy to make. I love crock pot meals because, as you know, you just put everything in. It cooks for a couple hours. The aroma fills the house. It smells so good. And then you have a hearty meal. This meal in particular provides enough food for over a week for myself and my son. So I really love that. And it is so full of good, nutrient-dense whole foods that are going to do the body and the mind well. This is also a hit with my son because he loves barbecue sauce, as most children do. And then he also loves cornbread. Those are two of his favorites. So it's a way to get lots of good, healthy, nutrient-dense items into his diet in a way that is agreeable to his palate as a 5-year-old. The crock pot I'll be using, I'll show you guys here. It's back there. It's by Cuisine Art. I actually never took the sticker off, but I've had it for a couple years. It works like a charm. I do not foresee myself buying another one anytime soon because I haven't had any issues, any glitches, any hiccups with this one. So I will link that in the description box. But where are my manners? If you are new here, hi, hello, welcome. If you feel inclined to do so, please give this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel. Those two things really do go a long way in helping my platform here on YouTube grow. And if you are returning, welcome back. It is good to see you. Without further delay, let's get into the kitchen. Here's what you'll need. 1 can of kidney beans, 2 cans of black beans. Mine are both organic. 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. 1 can of corn. You can use frozen corn as well. 1 lime. 1 jalapeno. You're only going to use half of this. A few cloves of garlic. I think I used about 4. 1 whole yellow onion, 1 whole green bell pepper, a few sticks of carrots. You're going to need your preferred barbecue sauce. I like this one. And a secret ingredient, you need liquid smoke. Any brand will do. Your seasoning, salt and pepper. This I have re-bottled, but it is Badia Original. I'll put the picture of what the can looks like. You'll need some cumin. And instead of buying, unless you have multiple types of chili powder, this one is 6 chili powders in one. And 1 medium to large sweet potato. So first up, we're gonna start by just peeling our carrots. I like to peel them, get them nice and clean. This is after washing them. And then you will essentially cut up your carrots, and I will show you what mine look like here. And this video is not about my knife skills, you guys. Chop them to your liking, but you do want to make sure that they are somewhat bite-sized so you're not having huge chunks of things. But the size of these will reduce when you cook them a little bit. They'll get softer and more tender, so they're not going to be hard. So I just chop mine like this, and in the end they end up looking like this. And I put it literally directly into the crock pot. So just pour them directly in. No need to put them in a bowl or do anything else with them. Straight from the cutting board into the crock pot. And that is one of the beauties of this recipe. Next up, we're gonna cut up our bell pepper. I'm not gonna show the entire thing of me cutting this bell pepper. You're just going to cut it up. The end result that you're looking for looks something like this. And again, don't put too much emphasis on your cut, like it's all gonna cook down together. And into the crock pot it goes. Once again, this is going to be joining our carrots. Next, I take my jalapeno. Like I said before, we are only going to use half of this. And the reason why I'm scaling back on this heat is because number one, I don't like super spicy food. And also my son is going to be eating off of this too. He can handle a little bit of heat, but not too much. So only half of this goes into the full recipe. Chop it up, dice it up pretty fine like this. And then just like everything else, it is going straight into the crock pot with our other ingredients. Next up, we have our garlic. Like I said, take a couple of cloves. I just do pretty big chops. You can mince this if you want, straight into the crock pot. And next, we are starting on our onion. Once again, I won't keep saying it. You cut this however your heart desires. Yeah, I like big chunks of onion, something that I grew up eating, so I don't mind them not being too fine. This is the chop that I ended up with, and straight into the crock pot it goes. Now this next step is optional. You do not have to peel your sweet potato. You can wash them and cut them with the skin on. For this recipe, I just chose to skin it, but it's not every time that I do that. Once again, we're chopping them. I don't leave them whole like this. I feel like it's not easy to eat like that once it's cooked, so I do make them smaller pieces, and so I end up with these little chunks like this. This is easier to eat, cooks and marries well with everything else at this size. And again, you guys already know I'm putting this straight into the crock pot. Now we're done with our produce and we are going to pour in our beans. These are the kidney beans. I did leave the liquid, the fluid inside. I poured that into the crock pot. That is going to help to create kind of like a gravy, so to speak, for the chili. Those are 2 cans of black beans. So our pot is getting full. Next, I do drain the tomatoes and I only use about half a cup of it because they are spicy. And like I said, I don't want too much heat. I use that same half a cup spoon and I put in half a cup and then it's a tiny smidge more barbecue sauce. You can do it to your liking, to how much taste you want, but you don't need a ton of barbecue sauce. And here is that magic ingredient again, liquid smoke. I don't really measure it. You don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. I wouldn't be so overly concerned with measurements at this point in time. Right now, eyeballing it, if that is the way that you know how to cook, I would recommend eyeballing it. This is my Badia seasoning, so I go in heavy with that. I love the taste of that. Then I do my salt and pepper. So this is my salt. Next up comes the pepper. Next up is my cumin. And you guys, I really do cook like this. Normally, I don't typically use measuring spoons unless I'm following a recipe from somebody else. I do eyeball a lot of things. This is our 6 spice chili. And you guys, literally that is the end of the work, really. I'm mixing it all up. I want to get those greens and those veggies at the bottom up to the surface. So I'm just going to continue stirring to bring all of that up. You don't have to use a spatula like this. You can actually use a spoon, but whatever gets the job done. And the hard part is over. You literally are going to put this on to cook and the crock pot does the rest of the work. So here I am putting it on the crock pot. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can see my settings. There are 4 buttons. One is high, low, simmer, and warm. I click high, and then the plus and minus sign is to add time or to reduce the time. So as you can see, I'm going up 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I put it on 2.5 hours. I know that's not gonna be enough time, but it gives it enough time for this flavors to kind of settle, and then I can add and adjust the taste of the seasoning as I like it. Once I do that, I cook it for another hour or so, and it looks just like this. Now we can start to appreciate the smell. It is wafting through the house and it smells amazing. While this was cooking, I did make some cornbread. I didn't get footage of that, but I did make some cornbread muffins for my son. Let's plate. Alrighty, so I like a nice sturdy bowl because I'm going to get a lot. So just scoop it in. It looks so good and smells so good. Now, because this is fresh, you can tell that the liquid of the chili is still a little bit loose, a little bit thin. Once this chili sits overnight in the refrigerator, the next day it becomes more thickened, not in like an overly thick way, but it's just more of like a saucy gravy type texture, which I really love. But this is day one straight out of the crock pot. I also like to top mine with a little bit of chorizo seitan. So this is vegan. It's just chorizo flavored. Adds a lot of protein to the dish as well, so you are more than welcome to do that. It does have a little bit of heat, but just a tiny amount. I love crispy onions that you can buy at the grocery store, so I love to top it with that. It gives it a nice crunch and gives it some texture. And then another thing that I really like adding is avocado. I will add avocado to a lot of different things, so I'm adding a few slices here. And last but not least, one of my favorite things is sour cream, and I found a vegan plant-based sour cream alternative. It's not something that I use often at all. I probably buy it once a year, but look how beautiful this is. And it tastes amazing. I really hope you guys try it. Let me know if you do.